I'm here on the Buddy Pough Show, and Coach taking a look at the Pough Mental Health Injury Report. And Yard King, one of those guys, and we talked about the heat early and its effect on the game.
Yeah, he was under the weather some at halftime, to say the least. And then Mason Harris, who was his backup, goes out and kind of tweaks his Achilles a little bit. It's going to be a pretty tough deal to get those guys both back, because we can't have two corners out in the same position. And Tristan Bellamy, our center, our young center, hurt his toe a little bit and came off the field, actually.
34-13, Coach. When you look at it at halftime, what kind of adjustments did you make? Are you more concerned with what you were doing?
Well, we were
or not doing.
We were more concerned with the fact that we still weren't consistently getting the football down the field, in a mixed manner. We could throw the football a very little bit, but we could run the football pretty good. We were trying to get a balance in the fact that we could throw the ball down the field more, and that's something that we got to continue to work on for these 2 weeks leading up to FAMU.
All right, it's halftime here on the Buddy Pough Show. South Carolina State leading Benedict 34-13. We'll be back with your second half right after this timeout.
For Buddy Pough, provided by Bill Owens Clothing. Bill Owens Clothing is a proud sponsor of the Buddy Pough Show.
The Bulldogs, an opportunity to open up with possession on the second half, Coach. And again, you talk about trying to get on track and just get some positive things going.
You're right. And you see our two guys doubling one of their kids, and they call holding on this guy. I don't know sometimes about some of these calls, but I just thought that was a bad call.
Ashton Jordan with the return. They'll bring it back. South Carolina State still with some pretty decent field position to start the second half, and Malcolm Long and company trying to get on track.
Right. We are actually running the football here a little bit, and we try to, get greedy and go for a deep ball off of our little bubble screen fake. And it didn't quite work out like we wanted to. Our receiver broke it off because they were behind him, and Malcolm didn't quite figure it out. And they get an interception and they're down the field, and this actually sets them up in the second half for a score.
And you talk about Benedict going on the attack from that double option formation. Pat Riley in some trouble here, and a big play for the Bulldogs.
That's Courtney Ingram's got him there, and David Irby comes and helps him, but they eventually do still pitch the ball, and this guy jumps in and scores.
That's Emmanuel Houston for Benedict on a 5-yard run. Andy Polanco got the point after touchdown, and just like that, it's a 2-score game with 9 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, you're a little bit concerned here because they come back and they get going, and then we get a good run here, but Ashton fumbles the football, and they get it back in good territory there again. I mean, close to our goal line. But now our defense comes alive here and plays really well. That's Pat Washington that really strings it out really well. And then, it's the same guys, Courtney Ingram, and then David Irby comes in and finishes them off.
Another strong game for the senior from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Coach, that Rock Hill area is just a bevy of talent these days.
It is. They always got good teams there. And you see David there again. Full Woods get involved, but all those guys, and then as Donovan Richards coming off the corner, Donovan said, "Why do I always beat him up?" Well, he's such a good player, but he's a fun-loving guy too. And then they have to punt, and Toby Goodson, I think, is the one who blocks it. And then two of our young guys, Toby's only been on defense about 2 weeks, and Joe Thomas picks it up and runs it in for the score. So that kind of gets us back on the good foot there, because for a minute there we were a little bit, behind the 8 ball.
Joe Thomas, a linebacker, freshman at Blackville Hilda High School. A lot of big expectations for him.
We do think that he is going to be a good player for us. And he was a running back in high school. We've converted him to a linebacker. We think that he's going to be, one of those guys that can really run to the ball. Look, we saw that play twice there.
I tell you what, Pat Riley and really having a more difficult time than he even had on Saturday. 6 of 20 in the passing department for 113 yards. Benedict being forced to punt the football again, Coach. With 10 guys on the line of scrimmage, you certainly made it difficult for the punter Foster.
Coach Joe Taylor had a nice design here. We were trying to block it, and then if we didn't block it, then we had a good, return effort going. And then this is Sammy McDuffie comes in and just knocks the guy's batty.
A deep cleater.
I guarantee you.
Richard Christie brings it back for South Carolina State. 54 yards on the punt return. The point after touchdown was good. 48-20 now. South Carolina State leads, and things a little bit better on the Bulldog side of the field.
This is J.D. Fullwood getting a sack, and he's doing a nice job. It's kind of hard to sack the guy generally from the nose guard position, but he does a nice job. And then I think we got Derek Wiley and Chris Merrill in the game. Chris has got him a nice little run there for about 8 or 10 yards.
Chris Merrill has come on and played really well for South Carolina State. He's a sophomore out of Simpsonville. And then Derek Wiley, of course, with a big run. He's out of Rockingham, North Carolina.
This is the guy that we got to get going. And Derek's a good changeup for what Malcolm can do style-wise. And, you know, I don't know exactly what happened there, but he ends up with the football. The next thing you know, he's almost in the end zone. So Derek is a flash when you start talking about the difference between he and Malcolm. And then he gives it to Merrill there again, and Merrill scores. 6
minutes, 39 seconds to go in the ball game. Chris Merrill with the touchdown run makes it 54 for South Carolina State, 20 for Benedict, and point after touchdown was no good at that point. Benedict coming back with the football and the defense really standing tall. A lot of folks now, Coach, getting an opportunity to play.
Yeah, we're trying to get some people in there. You see Marshall making the play there. And
Montre Pride as well.
Montre Pride is getting a little play. Montre is a freshman from Tampa, Florida, and he'll be a guy that'll put on some weight and be a good player for us down the road a piece. And
Derek taking it down, and of course the second teamers and third teamers want to get in the end zone.
Right, and there's Derek scoring again for us.
And that was the final score on Saturday. South Carolina State, a huge win over Benedict, 61-20 with the point after touchdown. And of course we got some reaction from the Bulldogs on Saturday.
One of the plays that turned this game around was a 49-yard run by yourself. It's your longest run, I think, as a South Carolina State Bulldog. Take me back through that run and tell me what was going through your mind as it developed.
Oh, I seen the edge, and I seen my receiver back. It was flat, and then he had turned to his block or whatever, so I just took it on outside.
How do you think this team is coming together? I'm talking about the offensive line because they've been together so long. How does that help you as a running back?
Oh, I mean, I just fit in along with them. I know they got a good chemistry. They've been there since freshmen and whatever, so I just slide on and fit along with the rest of the line.
The offensive line is strong. We want to get behind our pads and run. We really wanted to pound the football, you know. I thought I had a pretty good day today. I put one on the ground, you know. I didn't like that, but besides that, the offensive line did a real good job up front. Me and Massey was able to get through some good holes. We compete a lot. We push each other in practice and in the game field all the time. We push each other, and we get behind the offensive line. The offensive line does a great job, a real great job, and we get behind them, we compete, and you know, it just comes natural. He's a good back, and I'm a good back, and it comes natural.
Richard, tell me about the game today. Another big game for you in the special teams department. Take me back through that punt return.
It comes with the strategy that Coach Taylor put together for us, and basically I just have to follow my blocks. Most important of all, is securing the ball. We have to get the offense back the ball. After I secure the ball, then I follow my assignments and follow the lead blocks and basically try and make it happen.
How did you get prepared for this game? You know, it was a Benedict where people expecting you to win like that.
You know, first of all, we came out knowing that, you know, we was kind of in a little situation. We go out and beat these guys up. They say, why you beat them up like that? You know, those guys come out here, you know, say make it a close game or you know, having to beat us. And they were like, you know, South Carolina State sorry. So basically, it was in a little situation. So we knew we had to come out here and dominate. And, you know, that's the kind of motivation we came in with. We just had to come in, dominate, and go back home.
What are you going to work on between now and Florida A&M? Because you're a veteran, you know you can't play like this on offense and defense against the Florida A&M and come away with a win in Tallahassee.
Nah, you know, every time we play against Florida A&M, and y'all, you know, we can be up 21 points. Next thing you know, they back, you know, right back in the game. So we got to execute well when we go to Florida A&M, and you know that just what we got to do. You know, with the penalties, you know, mistakes on offense and mistakes on defense, we just got to go out and prepare and execute.
Talk about some coaches, perhaps, Coach. Everybody seems to have a great perspective on where we are right now. We look at the tail of the tape on Saturday. A pretty good overall effort, but obviously room for improvement.
Oh, I guarantee a whole lot of room for improvement. We've got to throw the football a good bit better. 44 passing yards in a game, you know, with this style of offense is ludicrous. And then, you know, we've got to do something about some of the penalties and some of those other kind of things we have. We have too many of those, and our third down conversion rate. So you got some areas there that we can look at and say, hey, this is some stuff that's got to get better.
Our State Farm drive of the game, we go back to the very first drive of the game for South Carolina State. And the reason, Coach, it was so important is because Benedict goes on top 7-0. You have to reestablish yourself, and you do it very quickly. 3 plays, 69 yards. It took 42 seconds.
I think the block punt was kind of an eye-opener for us. You know, it gave us some sense of urgency in the fact that we had to hurry up and make something happen. And, you know, you see Massey running, and you see a Malcolm throwing, and then Massey scoring. So, you know, this is one of those deals where, you know, you better get yourself going, because if not, then this is going to be a long day.
We'll be back in just a moment to tell you what's up next for your South Carolina State Bulldogs.
From 6 to 7. The show will be broadcast live on Old School 102.9 FM. You're invited to phone in or email your questions for Coach Pough.